Thomas here with Much Props, going to give you another how-to video. Today we are once again building something from Star Wars. Right before Christmas I built a zombie stormtrooper. It's been doing pretty well. It hit well over 100,000 views within the first 2 to 3 weeks of it being posted, which is not normal for my channel. I'm fairly small, and for it to shoot up that big is definitely something I take notice of. So I thought, why not make something else from Star Wars. I really enjoy making robots. I've made R2-D2, Wally, Claptrap, the Terminator's arm. I've made a bunch of random robot things. Heads, you have it, I've probably made it. I thought I should try and attempt one of the newer robots from the series, which is Dio. He's the little white wheel with a cone head. I thought that would be a pretty easy one to try and template out so that you guys could also build it. And I've got a bunch more of this WTF that Cosplay Apprentice sent me that I want to put to good use, and I think that this foam lends itself very well to this type of build where you need that rigidity, but you also want to have some flexibility in terms of making the shapes, the curves and things. So today we are going to build the Dio droid from Star Wars. Let's get to building. Download the free template in the description, cut it out and trace it onto your material. I am using WTF, What the Foam, sold on Amazon by Cosplay Apprentice Skylar Osler. It comes in 6mm, 4mm, and 2mm. You can click on my Amazon affiliates link in the description below. By going through my link, it helps out my channel a little bit. All of my parts are labeled with any angle cuts marked for multiple copies and the size EVA I used for each part. If you want to try other materials and thicknesses, go for it. I got my start making stuff out of cardboard because the material was free. Just know that the different materials have strengths and weaknesses. I start by assembling the rims to the wheels. I made my middle strip 5 inches wide, and the length starts at I think 36 inches when you glue the two pieces together. I reinforced the inside seam with a little piece of foam so that it's secure, and then on the outside with the tire tread, obviously. Once I started gluing the strip on the wheel, I trimmed it down just a little bit to fit my circle.
tread of the actual DO is a little narrower and curves up the middle. I simplified mine and made my track plates a little bigger and flat. To place mine apart, I used a scrap piece of foam as I was tacking each one on. To get him to stand on his own, I slightly flattened the bottom of his wheel rim and tread. The wheel top has several layers. The black 4mm piece you see here will have the vents burnt into them with a wood burner. Then the red 2mm parts glue on top of it. I love how the WTF is color coded, so I don't have to guess what the thickness of the foam is. The neck base needs to hold the weight of the head, so I glued up 4 layers of the 6mm foam and rounded over the 2 prongs with a Dremel. Then I added the detail pieces with super glue because it's quicker, and burned in some panel details with my wood burner. I used a 3D model program called Sketchfab to get a 3D reference while I freehand the template. I just do it all by sight. This is the axle that the head and neck assembly will connect to via a piece of PVC and some fencing wire. It is a small piece of 2-inch PVC. Plug the ends to increase the surface area for attaching the body and the details on glue up. I attached a 1/2-inch PVC pipe to the axle. Then I added a piece of aluminum fencing wire inside it to run partially through the neck base. Then I hot glued it in place. There is a second smaller pipe that runs alongside the main support, and I didn't have a thinner PVC pipe, so I just ran another piece of that fencing wire alongside it. His cone head's pretty simple. Heat up the head cone base and bend it into shape before glue up. This will keep it from pulling apart. The nose and back of the head are recessed about 1/4 of an inch or so in from the edges. I will do my best to add the random bits and pieces in the template for you. He has a lot of little pieces scattered all over. There were also a lot of panel lines on the wheels that I didn't add. Just tried to simplify it a little bit. I made his antennas out of some more of the fencing wire and some small EVA dowels tapered to the wire to add the little bits on the ends. The neck from my DO is just a small piece of a vacuum hose with an EVA dowel on the inside to give it rigidity. I capped off the ends with EVA. You could achieve the same thing by cutting two sized circles out of foam and then stacking them on top of each other. Two coats of Plasti Dip. I would have used white, but I ran out. Then I sprayed on various shades of white and brown for the base. Once that dried, I hit the nose and the wheel caps with the green details. Instead of trying to tape off a bunch of layers, I just hand painted some of the details on with acrylic paint. And of course, in much props fashion, lots and lots of dirty acrylic washes. I wanted my DO to look like he had been through some stuff. I was going to insert some visor slats for his eyes, but decided just to paint them on. It'd be easier. Had a little bleed through on my tape and had to clean it up. Then the last thing I added was the random cords that kind of run along the side of the body up to his neck. This is just some 6mm EVA dowels. You could also use random cords or wires or something for this.
And we are finished. Here is the end result. Overall, I really like the way this little guy turned out. He is adorable as far as a robot can be, I guess. It is not a very difficult build. All of these are pretty basic shapes, cylinders, cones, rectangles, that type of stuff. So it's not very difficult, especially when it's already templated out for you. I realize that mine is not extremely screen accurate. You could obviously make more modifications to it if that's something that you stress about as you build, but I like to kind of just go with it. I found some reference images that weren't particularly screen accurate, but they were enough that I could at least get the character itself, the embodiment of him. I realize there are certain paint mistakes I made. This part right here should be white, but it is what it is. You roll with the punches, and I don't like to stress over getting something 100% accurate to enjoy the process or enjoy the end result. So, yeah. I went with an extremely weathered look. My DO has seen some stuff and made it through it on the other side. A little bit battle damage, but chicks dig scars, so it's all good. Maybe you will try and make this DO yourself and impress your friends with your ability to make miniature Star Wars droids that just kind of sit there. By definition, probably. Maybe you'll get some...
Yay!
And inevitably, they're going to ask you, how'd you make that? You can give them one of these. Tell them, much props. He was timid at first, but now he's kind of friendly and up, and he's been kind of interested in that monitor there. And so, don't get too close. Ah!